Hi everyone, I'm Susanna, native from Rome, Italy, and today I brought you just in front of one of the most iconic monuments in Italy, let alone the symbol of the history of Rome, my native city. Here is the Colosseum. You may know the Colosseum by just history and your Roman Empire class, and this is definitely my Roman Empire. I think about the fact of how well the Colosseum is integrated in the city of Rome. For some monuments in some city, you probably have to pay a very expensive ticket to just visit them. When it comes to the Colosseum, honestly, as you can see, car can stop by and just visit the Colosseum from your car. So this means that the monument is very well integrated in the history and in the city and in the actual city. And I feel it's like a really good example of how well a city can be both an historical city and still offer space for their citizens, but also for tourists to enjoy what the city has to offer while having a gorgeous view on the side. So I feel like this is also a good starting point to start talking about renting or buying properties in Rome, Italy, and especially I brought you to one of the most expensive neighborhood in the whole city. And I will talk a little bit about prices with you just to see if the prices here are what you were actually expecting. So we are in one of the most amazing neighborhoods. Behind the back, as you may see, as you may notice, there is the Colosseum, but just behind this camera, you have one of the most amazing neighborhoods and very active nightlife neighborhood in Rome. It's called Monti, and people come from all over the city here to just enjoy a drink and have fun. It's a really great dating spot. I can't tell you how many people I know that brought their first date, their first girl, right in this little neighborhood right here. It's super friendly. It has so many bars and nightclubs. So you are enjoying by renting a property here, or purchasing a property here, you are enjoying the nightlife, but also the quiet benefits of living in a residential neighborhood. And you may not see it from here, but a lot of properties here are actually very cheap and very affordable. So you have a lot of buildings right in front of the Colosseum there that are not as expensive as you may think. See, people are friendly here, but there are so many properties here that are not as expensive as you may think, just because I know a little bit of the prices. I've been looking them up just to give you a really precise and accurate idea, and you wouldn't even guess how not crazy expensive these buildings here are. So let's imagine that you want to purchase or rent an apartment that faces right the Empire State Building when you are in New York. So this is the equivalent of having an apartment that faces the Empire State Building. You have an apartment that actually faces the most important monument in the whole city, the Colosseum, the most important monument in Rome. A 2-bedroom apartment here is around $3,000 per month. It depends, of course, on your expectations and your own criteria. So if you want a 2-bedroom apartment that is very spacious and has a large living room, we might be looking at something around $4,000 a month. If you are fine with a 1-bedroom apartment, as long as it has this view, you might be up to 2,500 euros a month. And I'm not saying that that's not high enough, because in Rome, if you have means that are just below these, and if you don't want to spend your money on rent, which is totally understandable, you can definitely find apartments that are cheaper than that. Keep in mind that $3,000 a month is for one of the most exclusive locations in Italy. This is the capital city of Italy, so let alone that, it's like renting out in New York. And aside from being the capital city of Italy, it's one of the most amazing neighborhoods. As I told you before, you have nightlife, you have amazing views, and you can just walk everywhere. You wouldn't even need public transportation, which are actually present. Right now there's a bus, and you might see it in a few moments right there. You can take public transportation, but you can just even walk everywhere. You have parking spots right here if you have a car. So it doesn't really get better and more comfortable than this. And this is just for a few people, because in Rome, the average rent is around, let's say, 1,000, 1,500. If you want to live well, you are not expected to pay $2,000 rent as you might be expected to in New York, because in New York, even sharing a double bedroom is about 2K a month usually. Like, it doesn't get a lot better than that. This is just an example for you to see how much Rome is actually a really good spot where you can just compromise, but you don't have to compromise on your lifestyle. You can compromise on having, like not paying 5K a month, but you will get with the same price that you pay a very normal, very standard double bedroom in Rome, in New York. In Rome, you can pay for like the same price, you can get better quality, and that's what we're trying to say here, and that's what I always say people that ask me for advice on how to live in Rome. And most of the people that came here and moved here, most of my friends from the US that came here, they're so like stunned and they're so amazed about how much quality you can get with food, with apartments, spending not an exaggerated amount of money. So as we were saying here, like we are surrounded by buildings. There are a few like city buildings, like there's a school there, so those are more official buildings. But right in front of the Colosseum, I just passed a few buildings that said for rent. So they're currently renting out houses that face the Colosseum, and this is because people that live in Rome are not very available to spend generally like that kind of money for rent. And coming from the US, it's really not a bad price if you are used to US or Canadian standards. So if in the US you pay 2K for a room and it feels like it's cheap, in Rome with the same amount of money you can get the most amazing room facing the most amazing historical building. Yeah, this is something that you might want to consider if you're planning to move to Rome. You might want to consider just that your money will actually get you more chances to live fully and enjoy everything. A lot of people do not pick this particular neighborhood just because the cost of living might be higher. Yeah, let's say you want to have a grocery here, it might be a little bit higher, but we're talking about a few cents of difference, and I know that that's relevant for some people, and of course it is, because we're living in a moment where it's really the price of everything kind of like doubled. And we know about that, we know about what led to that, and it's not necessarily to give for granted or also like to overlook. It's really important, but I'm sure that what actually doubled in Rome, it's still a fraction of the actual price in some other countries such as the US, and you will get definitely the better quality because you will wake up every morning just facing a really important monument that also has a beautiful view.